Write a system of inequalities, which means you're writing equations that have, instead of an equal sign, an arrow pointing one direction or the other. You might notice something familiar about a lot of these, so I'm not going to do too many, but I will kind of help you set it up. You're looking at where it crosses. An inequality is coming from the foundation of y equals mx plus b, where in these inequalities, I should say. That's the slope. It's the rise over the run, the change in y over the change in x. This is the y-intercept. So in both cases, it looks like both of these guys are crossing it at -2. And so the question then is, what is the slope of this thing? And you can get a rough idea. It looks like we're going up 2 before we go over 1 to get to a point on that line. But it may not be the case, because I go up 2 more and over 1, it's further from the line, and so is that. So I might need to go up further. It looks like 1, 2, 3 before I go over 2 to get right on the line. So I tried 2 and I wasn't sure, but when I further investigated, it looked like that wasn't the case. If I go up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and go over 1, yeah, that's a tough one. I can't hardly tell how far over I'm going. Maybe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Something like that. 5 over 3. Let me see this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1. It looks like it's directly on if I go up 5 and over 3. So the slope of this line right here, it's got a. I'm saying y is something. I'll get back to that. -5 over 3 x, and then -2. The -2 is the y-intercept. There's the slope. Now the question is, which direction is the arrow going to point? Well, it's below. Okay, it's below the line that I just identified, so saying its y is less than would be the appropriate thing. It's a dotted line, so I don't want to say or equal to. The other line is much easier to come up with in terms of the equation. It crosses the y-axis at -2, but the slope is 0. So you have y, you have 0, but it's shaded above this line. So when you talk about above on the y-axis, y is greater than 0. Now let's go with that as our fraction for each one of them. And if you look at this, y is well, we'll get back to that. -5 over 3x and then -2. That's the same equation. I started going less than because look, even though it's not in that zone, it's still below that line. So less than is true. And so that equation didn't change at all, but what you'll see now is that according to the dotted line, it's actually below the dotted line, or the horizontal line. So y now should be also less than 0. So that's the thing that changed, and what you'll see is a lot of similarities here, but the difference is which way it's shaded. And let's go with 5 over 3, but if you said 2 or 3 over 2 or something like that, I think that would be acceptable. Those are kind of hard to come up with.